Hey guys, this is Jenny and welcome to part 5 of our How to Rasterize series, Custom Methods. Today we're going to talk about partial transparency and negative space, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is create a new file. I'm going to use tabloid, so that is going to be 11 inches wide, 17 inches high. Our resolution is going to be 300 pixels per inch. I'm in CMYK color mode. I'm using 8-bit for this, so it'll go a little bit faster. And we want a transparent background. So let's hit create. Now I'm going to go up here to view, and I'm going to turn off these extras. So let's get our document ready. I'm going to create over down here on the bottom right, you're going to see these little things, these little icons. We're going to choose this circle, and we're going to choose a solid color. And I like to do this on every file. That way you can mimic the color of your shirt. So this one we're going to choose black. And if you want to change it, all you have to do is double click and you can change the background color like that. But for this, we're going to use black. I'm going to hit OK. Now let's drag our file in here. And I made this with a combination of Procreate and Photoshop. All right, so I'm just going to size it and put it on there. And the first thing we want to do is create a layer mask. You can come up here to Layer, Layer Mask, Reveal All, or my preferred method is right down here. There's these icons down on the bottom left, and we're going to choose the square with the circle. Make sure you click on the layer mask, and the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to increase this for you, is we're going to get rid of all the black. So we're going to go up to the top left of the toolbar and choose the magic wand tool. Shortcut for that is W. And I'm going to click on the darkest part of the image, which is right up here in the middle of this flower. Now I have my tolerance set to 20, which I feel like is pretty good. And now we're going to go Shift F5, and we're going to fill that with black, and we're going to hit OK. So I'm going to Command on a Mac, Command D on a Mac, Control D on a PC, and just go ahead and unselect that. And you can see if you turn off by clicking the eyeball, the black, you can see we've gotten rid of quite a bit of our design, but it still looks great with that black backdrop. So now I'm going to duplicate this layer, hit OK. And I'm going to hide this one. I always like to keep a perfect, a copy of the original document just in case I make a mistake. So I'm going to hide that. And now I'm going to rasterize this layer because this is a smart object. And I'm going to go ahead and apply that layer mask. So again, now we're just working on this section here. Now what I want to do is, since there's so much of this already gone, I just want to add some transparency in the surfboard and this blue and white wave. So let's start with the surfboard. We're going to go ahead and do a new layer mask by clicking on that square down the bottom right with the circle. And we're going to just come up here. We're going to change our tolerance to about 40. And we're going to start selecting areas of the surfboard. If you want to add to your selection, you're just going to hit Shift and notice that there's a little plus sign that pops up. And then just add all the colors in that surfboard. Now you'll see that we've got some areas over here that it's added. So I'm just going to choose Option and turn that off because I don't want any part of that that dark brown selected. And let me get that also. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So now we're going to hit Shift F5 and fill it with black. Now, once we finish our selection, we're going to add some white to this layer mask to make it transparent. But right now it's completely gone. So we're going to hit Command D to let go. Now we're going to add some blue, and for this we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to check this contiguous box up here, and that's because we don't want to get any of this blue area where our Forever Summer and Work Later is. So that's why I've checked that contiguous box. So I'm going to click, I might even click, change that tolerance to 50. Whoops. And we'll just shift and just keep adding to this. And so all of that blue is selected. So we're going to hit Shift F5, fill with black. Notice everything's gone. Then we'll come up here and select the blue, Shift F5, fill with black. Over here, Shift F5, and come down here. And grab some of this blue, Shift F5, fill with black. So let me let you guys see this on the screen. So you can see now that there's quite a bit of stuff missing. And so now we're going to come over here to this layer mask and we're going to add 80% white. Now you could do this by using a brush and just painting in your transparency, but I like to do it this way so everything gets the same amount of transparency. So I'm just going to click on the layer mask, Shift F5 again, which is fill, and let me show you. You can also go up here to edit, fill, but I like the Shift F5 method, Shift F5, white, and our opacity is going to be 85. Now, if you may have trouble marrying, you might want to make that opacity 80%. The amount of opacity in the image, the amount of transparency, is going to determine how big or small your holes are in ProRip. So you'll have to get a feel for that. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And if you notice, our design came back, and that is because by filling it with 85% white, again, it brought that image back with 15% transparency. So if you look closely, you can see that there's a checkerboard is back there. That's how you can tell you've got some transparency. So let's fit the screen. I'm going to click on our black background just to make sure it still looks good and we didn't get carried away. I think it does. And so for the last step, I am going to add a border around this by just choosing our rectangular marquee tool, because I want to make sure that I can marry and peel this. So I've got it selected. I'm going to go up here to Edit, Stroke. I'll do white. I'll do 25 pixels, and I'm going to hit center. That way it's right where that line is. Hit OK. Oops, you know what I did? Make sure you click on the image and then hit Edit, Stroke, and this time I'm gonna choose. Maybe I'll just choose something crazy, because I don't want it to get confused. So I'll just choose this purpley color. Hit OK. Hit OK. And now you can see we've got a white stroke around it. And that way, when I'm peeling after I marry it, it'll slow me down so I don't lose part of my image, because I plan to put two on one page. So let's go ahead and turn the background layer off. Very important, because you want your background to be transparent. And now I'm just going to File, Export, Quick Export as a PNG file. Now I'm using a Mac. You may want to just import your Photoshop file, but I don't have that option because I'm using a Mac. I'm going to export it as a PNG and bring it into ProRip. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up our queue. So I'm using Uninet two-step standard. You could use Select or Premium, but I'm using Uninet two-step standard, 11 by 17, bypass tray, thick to 163. Let's go ahead and set up our color profile. I have mine on graphics. I feel like it gives me a lot better color. So I've got my blacks all the way to the right, and I do this on every single file that I pull in. I've got my yellows at 2. My white coverage on the 800 is 210, but on the 550 and the 600, I believe it's 200. I have my enable ink removal checked. 255, that is required to use partial transparency, and vary hole sizes in areas of partial transparency. So 0.7 is the default setting, and that is going to control the size of your holes. If you want your holes bigger, you're going to move that to the left. So instead of 0.7, you would want 0.6, 0.5, and if you want them smaller, let's say you use too much transparency, then you're going to go the other direction. But I'm going to use the default setting of 0.7, and I'm going to hit OK. Let me make this bigger so you guys can see. Now let's make sure that our color boost is checked. So I'm going to go Q, Properties, Color Layer, Processing Options, and we want the color boost on 10. Now I do this for every single cue that I have, and I have created a default for this because I think that my colors turn out better every single time using color boost. So I'm going to hit OK, and now we're ready to bring our file in. So I'm just going to hit plus, and there's my surf now. Hit open. Fit to page, and double click here, color layer, ink removal, and I'm going to use a frequency of 28, an angle of 22, and variable, which is most likely going to be round holes. Actually, let's go ahead and change that to Euclidean round. So Euclidean round, and I'm going to leave everything else the same. Hit OK, and that is pretty much it for this one. Notice we do have that border there that I was telling you about. So I'm going to right click, rip only, right click, view raw data, and now you can see we've got little holes just in the surfboard and in the cloud. Our text is left alone. These banners are left alone because I already have holes from the black text. Our black has been knocked out, so that looks great. If you click on this right here, you can see what areas will have toner. And I think that looks really fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that, and we can move on to the next project. Now I'm going to be putting 2 sheets on this 11 by 17 paper, and I'll show you guys how to do that after we bring in our next image. Okay, let's move on to our next file. Create new, use that same tabloid portrait, 11 by 17, 300 pixels per inch, CMYK color and transparent. Hit create. All right, we're gonna turn off the extras. Go ahead and go down here to the bottom right. Choose our solid color. Hit OK, and now let's bring our image in. This time we're going to bring in the waves. Hit OK. And let's do our layer mask, bottom right. And the first thing we want to do is get rid of the black. Go over here to our magic wand tool. Click on that black, Shift F5. Now make sure that you check this. We're going to fill it with black, 100, and hit OK. Command D to deselect, and you can see that we've gotten rid of the black. Okay, so now I want you guys to import those brushes. You can go to my Dropbox account to download the brushes and the images, and I've also put a link to that on our Facebook group. So, and I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to go over here either to our brush settings or window brushes. You're going to come over to the right on the little hamburger thingy and choose import brushes. Now I want to tell you, if you have the cloud version of Photoshop, you can also click on this get more brushes, and there are I'm just going to click it so you guys can see, because I think a lot of people miss this. There are a ton of free brushes. Specifically, I want to show you these manga brushes. Those are free. And these halftone brushes. Those will be really helpful when customizing your rasterization. So you may want to download those and check out the other brushes. But we're not going to do that for the purposes of this video. So I just wanted to show you that. All right, so let's again go back over to our brushes, hamburger, import brushes. And we're just going to double click. You're going to figure out where you put them, and you're just going to double click them. And so that's all you have to do. Click on there, and then you'll see all the brushes that we have available. Okay, so let's get started and see how that works. So the first thing we're going to do is we've got contiguous checked, and let's do like the waves on this blue. So I'm going to click here, shift and click the next one over, shift click the next one, and shift click the next one. So that's all of our blue. I think we're going to go with high waves. And if you notice, you get a little square here. Just go ahead and bring that all the way up to maybe 2800 size up here on the right. And now you can see you get this crazy wave pattern. And we're just going to click it. And nothing happened because I did not change my color. So you want to paint in black. So let's try that again. And notice I didn't get the whole thing. So I'm going to Command Z. Just make sure you're kind of centered on the page. Okay, that looks good. Now let's go back over to our magic wand tool, and you can just hit W to do that, Command D or Control D to deselect. Now let's do this other section of the blue. This time we're going to go with shallow waves. And I want to show you, if you notice, if you do that, it's okay, but you can also change the angle. So let's undo those brushes. Go over here to brush settings, and now you can change the angle of the brush. So here I've got -45. And I'm just going to click, and now that gives us a little bit different pattern. So moving on, I'm going to hit W for the magic wand tool. I'm going to click this white, go over to our brushes, and this time I'm going to choose paint splatters. And this one is a really fun one. Let's go ahead and turn our black on so you guys can see. So to me, that kind of represents the foam of the ocean. So Command D to deselect that. W for our magic wand tool. Let's do the yellow. I'm going to uncheck contiguous now. Click on that yellow again. And there's a couple parts that didn't get selected, so I'm just going to shift and click on that other section of the yellow. This time I'm going to go with dots. So that's this brush here. And again, we want to kind of center this right in the middle of the page. And now we've got some dots. Hit our W to go back to our magic wand tool. Let's select the orange this time. Shift plus to get that bit of the orange there. And let's see, what should we do? Let's do the diamond pattern. Now this one I've noticed you have to do full size. It just needs that thickness for, to give you enough rasterization or enough negative space. So we're just going to click once, Command D, and that is our design. Now, if you notice down here on the text, we've got some holes from where we were working up here. So all we need to do there is go back and get our brush, come up here to the top left and change our brush to just this hard round one, maybe 50 pixels. We're going to paint, change this over here, just click on this arrows, change it to white, and just paint that back in so we get rid of those holes. Okay, and that's it. So view, fit on screen. We're going to uncheck this black here, and we're going to export it as a PNG. Again, if you are in Windows, you can just go ahead and import your Photoshop file into ProRep. Now these brushes will work with Photoshop, Procreate, and Fresco, so they should be all set for you to use. So I'm just exporting as a PNG file, and I will see you guys in ProRep. Okay, now we're back over in ProRep. We're going to use the exact same cue, plus, bring in your file, fit to the page. All right, let's go to color adjust. This time you want to turn off enable ink removal. So we're just going to click that. And if you leave it on, you might find you get some jagged edges if there was any transparency in the file that you didn't see. So I always just turn that off because you've already put your negative space in this image manually. So again, you want to make sure it's graphics, make your black as they can be, 20. Put your white coverage. It should be the same already based on the other cue we were just in. And so that's all we need to do. I'm going to hit OK. And that is pretty much it. Right click, rip only. Right click, view raw data. And that looks really, I just love this one. All right, so we're going to go ahead and close that out. And now I'm going to release both of these because I want to print them on one page. So I'm going to hit open page. Now I'm going to take this one and click open. Come over here to job. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Come over here, fit to page. I'm going to do the same for this one. Click on it, rotate it 90 degrees, fit to page. And so now they're both on one page. So I'm going to go ahead and move that down. And then I'm going to move this one down. And since this one has a box around it, I forgot to put a box on this one. When I marry and peel, I'm going to peel from this side on the top. So this will be my top part of the image, and then this border should catch the bottom when I go ahead and peel this one. So if you rip these, it's going to rip them both together on the same page so you can see what that looks like. View raw data. And we've got our surf now at the top and our summer waves at the bottom. Again, you can click on that and you can see, look at all that toner gone. So that should be a nice soft shirt. So let me close that out and it is ready to print. So I've printed it, and I'm about ready to show you guys the shirt, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with on these, with using these new white toner brushes. Have a great day.